Hello and welcome to another video exploring and exposing the scum of the scene, Dahvie Vanity. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about some of the collaborations that I kind of saw interesting, but also some people that have worked with them and some of the statements that have come out afterwards. So without further ado, let's get into it. In 2010, Blood on the Dance Floor was working on their first album with Javon Monroe, who I talked about in my last Dahvie video. And on this album, he collaborated with Jeffree Star, who's, a pretty big name here on YouTube. After recording a couple songs and going on tour with them, Jeffree ended up calling out Dahvie with these tweets here. So after this, Dahvie had Jeffree's vocals re-recorded by Javon, and he never made it onto the final album. And that kind of reminds me of something I talked about in my last Dahvie video, where Jay said that Dahvie would make Jay push away artists that called him out, and he'd make them hate and tell them, make them hate them kind of thing. And but there's more of that to come in this video. There's a lot of calling Dahvie out. So we're gonna skip ahead a couple years over to 2012, over to just a couple of those collaborations that I found kind of weird and interesting. The first was in 2012. They collaborated with Joel Madden of Good Charlotte, which was weird because at that time I listened to Good Charlotte, and they're really pop punk. That's really not something I would think would mix well, I guess, from what I've heard of Blood on the Dance Floor's music. But yeah, I just thought that one was interesting and really weird. Another collab I found particularly interesting is Deuce, one of the founding members of Hollywood Undead. And I am a pretty big fan of Hollywood Undead. And I always found the drama between Deuce leaving and all that super interesting. And partially because I was kind of sided with Danny, because I personally think he's a better vocalist than Deuce, but that's a topic for another day. Another interesting thing about that was that he did two different songs. One in 2012 and one in 2014. And I haven't really seen any, he hasn't really said anything about it that I've found. I just, thought it was interesting. And, but while we're talking about 2014, let's quickly touch on a song from an EP they released that year. A certain a certain artist that appears on a song that we've already talked about. And it might surprise you, but it doesn't really surprise me. But Jeffree Star ended up actually making an appearance on the song, which is weird considering the previous tweets that I had shown you. but, you know, business is business, right? So let's go back to November of 2012. The band New Year's Day posts this statement to Facebook. Ash Costello, the vocalist, then posts a very long blog, which I will put up on the screen in a minute here. It's really long, so I'm not gonna go through the entirety of it, but I'm gonna talk about a couple of notable things to me, and then kind of the overall feel I got from it. So here's the first bit of the blog post. Some of the things I found kind of notable were the fact that she had been on 13 tours and like 3 Warped tours, and had never felt so bullied and uncomfortable. The fact that she'd been that many Warped tours and not felt that uncomfortable is kind of says something about Dahvie, because there's a lot of bands that go to Warped Tour. She'd also never been physically attacked and abused, and and then she brings up that she now believed that what Lady Nogerty had been saying is 100% true. And quick side note, the Lady Nogerty story is something I'd been wanting to look into, and I have been looking into. I was going to actually include in this video, but the more I looked into it, the bigger it got, and it just didn't end up fitting as well, and it's just way too big. And I mean, it happened at the peak of But on the Dance Floor's kind of popularity, or not the peak, but like around the peak, I guess. And well, the internet's the internet, and he was fairly well defended by his fans on the internet, so it is a little hard to find. I am going to keep digging into it and looking, and hopefully get a video for that out soon. So back to Ash Costello's post. She goes on to talk more about, how he abuses his fame and how he doesn't deserve it, which is something I kind of pointed out in my first video. She also brings up a few disgusting kind of things he's done. It's a bit of a paragraph, so I'll just put it up on screen. I mean, these are just a few more things to be grossed out by. I mean, it's obviously not the worst things he's done, but I feel it shows that he knew that he was untouchable at that time. And I mean, this kind of proves it. New Year's Day was kicked off of the tour with them, like halfway through, because she stood up to him. And I mean, that's kind of the main point I got from her blog post, and that's kind of what the rest of it kind of goes through. It just shows to me that he was good at manipulating people and situations to get exactly what he wanted, and the outlook and the outcome that he wanted. So in 2019, Loudwire posted an interview that they had done with her about the situation. And in it she says that after she had wrote the blog, nobody really believed her, and people were just saying that she wanted to use Dahvie's fame, which she said is laughable, which is, because I had heard of New Year's Day way before I had heard of blood on the dance floor, so. But, I guess a lot of fans that had been abused by Dahvie started sending her stories and some physical evidence and stuff. And I guess she sent it to the police and made a police report and stuff, but obviously nothing ever really came of it, which is pretty sad. But I'll put it in the description below if anyone can tell me how to make them actual links. That would be much appreciated. But with that, I think that brings this video to an end. Well, thank you for watching. I really appreciate all the support I've gotten on these videos. My sub counts doubled, which isn't saying much, but it's made my month. It's also made me want to work harder on these and make them better for all the people watching. So, but yeah, thanks. I also want to quickly say I want to talk about a few other people, I guess. So if you have any suggestions, put them in the comments. But, well, yeah. Thanks for watching. Like if you liked it, dislike if you didn't, or if you're a Blood on the Dance Floor fan. Subscribe if you want more, and I'll see you next time.